Alarm. Hi, we're live. Look who's here with her new tweeny haircut. It's Annie Leib. Go ahead.
And welcome to Annie.
What's it called? Welcome to. You're done? Bye. Welcome. Welcome to Living with Annietude. Evie is out of here. We have an amazing guest tonight. We're going to talk about our evolution into the present moment. And you'll understand why I'm saying that and what that means and how meaningful that is. I'm going to bring on I do have to say one thing before I bring him on. Every time I see this man, he looks younger than the last time I saw him. So I'm trying to find out what's in the water where he lives, but I don't know yet. So if any of you find out, let me know. And welcome to my show, Brian Bachand.
Hello, Annie.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Welcome.
What a joy. I was so looking forward to today. And
I am too. I mean, I know my daughter and I did not practice, obviously. But I think it was high. I think it was a perfect intro to her first time on a podcast. So we didn't do anything to her, but I think she was saying welcome Annie to Annie Leib. I'm not sure. But either way, it was great. Hi, everybody. Everybody's coming to see you, Bri. Everybody's coming to see you. KD is in the house.
Woo-hoo.
AFL. So I have a nickname with a bad word as my middle name. So AFL, F does not stand for Jennifer, which is my real middle name.
Okay.
So everybody's saying hi. I'm just going to bring these on just in the beginning. I'm trying to do my comments a little bit different, Brian, because they sometimes I get a little, just to be transparent, I get a little anxious because I want people to know that I see their comments, but at the same time, I don't want to interrupt the person I'm speaking to. So it's a little bit, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to do beginning comments and then we're going to chat and then I'm going to do end comments.
Totally. So it's all about welcoming everyone. So it's great. It's great. You have so many followers. First of all, as you're welcoming people, Annie, you're fantastic. I love following your videos. They bring so much joy to me, as I know they do to thousands of others. And you have a beautiful mission. And so it is such a gift to be here tonight and with so many from your community. And just thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for sending me such love and amazingness. And everybody is saying hi. And I'm not the best with taking compliments, but it's a work in progress. So thank you. I received that. How's that? I received that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So Brian, because it's a half-hour show, it goes by really quick. So I'm going to give you the stage. Tell me about you. What's your give me that bio, that dig in deep, whatever you want to talk about, and then we'll just start our discussion if that works.
Yeah, that sounds great. So I'll give you the minute and a half version of the life of Brian. Who is this individual? So I'm a native Bostonian, born and raised in Boston, did my undergraduate university in the Midwest. After that, went back to Boston for graduate work, but it was actually in the context of the seminary. And I went to the seminary to study to become a Catholic priest. And I did that. I went through the seminary for 5 years. And then I was a priest for the Archdiocese of Boston for 8 years. And it was an amazing, beautiful, joyful 8 years. 4 years in a huge parish. It was a young parish and I did weddings. I could have been in Vegas, as a chaplain. I was the wedding priest and then baptisms galore. It was wonderful. And then there was a new cardinal that came to town and he selected me. I got a call on a Thursday night to come in the next day. And he selected me to be his new private secretary. That would translate to be chief of staff. And I was very young and it was an amazing role that really changed my life overnight. That when he went to the Vatican and met with the Pope, I was there. When he went to Washington to the White House, I was there. I was his master of ceremonies. I was his, confidant and handled so many things. But then they really got to a moment as I was there, I was obviously being groomed for more and being exposed to more. But there's one question that really has always guided me. And it's simply this: what do I desire? And I really desired at that time, I was happy and fulfilled, but there was something longing and there was a sense of wanting to be even deeper, more authentic to who I am. And so I really embraced that I wanted to love another person, that I wanted to stand in my truth as a gay man and fully embrace that and not hide behind the shadows of what that means. And knew that I could bring my gifts into the world in a different way. So I freely left and went to New York City and started an entirely new life as an executive. It's like a movie. There I am driving to New York, my little rental U-Haul.
Yeah.
And started a whole new life in the world of philanthropy and raising millions for medical research. I ended as executive director at NYU Medical. And then I met a Canadian. That was the only reason I moved to Toronto at the time, and continued as an executive here in Canada, and then became a partner in a company. And then 2 years ago, had that same desire to kind of bring it all together. And so I founded my own company called Evolution. And it's named twice on reason. It's not a typo. The first, you know what I mean? So people are like, did you mean to name it twice? Well, of course I mean.
Yes. Do people really say that? Like,
you know, once in a while, they're like, really? And I'm like, oh, yeah. So it's named twice, and it means something. The first evolution is our natural evolution as human beings, the DNA we're born with, how a pandemic affects every single human being. But that second evolution is the one that we can personally own, to be aligned personally and professionally with our purpose, with our gifts, to do that deeper inward work so we can make a profound outward difference in the world. And so that's where I'm at now. It's been—
you do the most eloquent job of, I would be like stuttering, and I mean, like, you just have that down. It comes from your heart. And I so relate to hitting a point. First of all, I have a couple questions. I want to know how you felt at different times, but I so relate to that turning point moment, which I'm actually like having, like, as we speak, I'm having like a true life turning point right now in the most amazing way. But I relate to that. What did it feel like when you were driving that U-Haul to New York City? Was it like, I mean, it's not only a new chapter, it's like a new book.
Yeah. And there is a book coming. Trust me, there is a book coming.
There better be.
There's a book coming. There's a book coming. There's lots of stories. You know, I'll be honest with you. The day that I actually like drove away, there was a sense of excitement. There was a sense of adventure, and it was such a sense of peace. I just knew that it was the right decision. I found the time leading up to that day was actually more stressful, you know, because it was just, you know, you're waiting, you're kind of in this in-between world. Exactly. Like, you know, there was a job waiting for me in New York. I was excited to go. And actually there was a sense of like, oh, like, I just remember driving there and just being like, wow, this is really happening. Like,
well, they say, you know, those gigantic changes in life, right? Like divorce and death. And I mean, like, changing a job is a big deal enough, let alone like this incredible life change of yours. I mean, this was like very major. So I imagine that it was not only exciting, but like sort of a rush of different emotions. You know, you're leaving something, this piece of you behind that you're not angry with. You're actually happy and satisfied that you went through it. But it's just not you anymore. Like, you shed that part of you. And that's, in a way, a loss. But it's a loss that you're choosing, right? So it's like, it's just
it's one of those things too. It's a sense of, you know, when I left, I was incredibly supported, you know, by so many individuals. But there was also some individuals that didn't support, you know, even, you know, in my own family. So I left there with some people that weren't supportive, that you would hope would be supportive. But I still knew at that moment that I was grounded and I was in the right spots and to move forward. And, you know, I think the biggest aspect for me, it wasn't just a job change. It was a whole identity change.
Yeah.
And, you know, it really was a whole sense of really like stepping out, you know. So when someone had asked me like, oh, where were you before you started this job? I'm like, well, how much time do you have?
Right. You know? You sit down, like, which story do you want, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Do you want the story of me at the Pope's funeral? Like, where do you— So, yeah.
Which part? So let's go back for 1 second. I was just thinking of like, I wanted to ask you, how did you skipped over this quickly, but I want to stop at it because it's something that I'm dealing with right now. So just like we're on this journey together. Mm-hmm. How did you reconcile some of those people that you really wanted to support you that didn't? Mm-hmm. How did you get clear with, you said I was really grounded, but like, you don't just wake up that way. So you had to do some things to get grounded and get planted in that and firmly be able to say, well, this is my choice and this is what I'm doing. So how did you get there?
Yeah, I'll give you like real concrete examples and a real example of that. One of the things I did when I made the decision that I knew that I wanted to leave active ministry to move onward, I actually worked with a wonderful psychologist for about 10 months because I wanted someone that would kind of work with me to kind of make sure I was making the right decision, to help me with the transition, to help me. I was obviously a public figure, kind of high profile, working with the cardinal, and I needed to work through some of those upcoming transitions. And for anyone who's ever gone to work with someone professionally, you might go in with one intention, but often it's like an onion. It brings up other layers.
Right.
And so that brought up relationships within family, particularly with, my mother and different aspects. And so that really helped me kind of process some of that. So when there were negative reactions, it didn't take away the decision that I had. It was disappointing. Mm-hmm. It was upsetting, but it didn't shake me to the core that was self-doubt. I'm making the wrong decision because I had done some of the deeper inner work.
Yeah.
And I knew that that was the right place to be. And some of those individuals just needed time to process on their own. And I had to respect that. And some of them I never heard from again. And that's on them.
Yeah.
And that's on them. And for me, I just had peace. I'm like, that's just where they're at. And I don't hold that against them. And but it was doing that inner work and being truly open to the heart. That's really what enabled me to move forward in joy and in freedom.
That's beautiful. And that really resonates with me with some of the things I'm dealing with as I'm really leaning hard now finally into Annie Leib LLC, which has become this business of mine, and it's growing and it's becoming amazing. But it was, I had those doubts before, and I was worried about what my parents thought, and I was worried about leaving corporate America, and I was worried about what was I doing with my MBA that I took time out to pay for and go to and get and succeed with. So, worried about all those things, and I finally just like turned that corner. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's when I got the tattoo. As soon as I got truth tattooed on me, it's like I, as crazy as this sounds, it's like I stepped into my truth, and I recognize that my decisions are my decisions. And yes, there are people in your life, as you said, that may or may not disagree. Maybe they take time to process. Maybe they just never agree. Maybe whatever. But you do your work, which gosh, have I done? You do your work, and then you stand grounded in it. Mm-hmm. And it's truly to find your authentic self and to stand in your truth as you did, so eloquently put by you. That's the real beauty of life, where you can just say, look where I've come from, look what I've gone through, look where I am, look where I'm going. So it's really an evolution.
It is. What I did there? It is. Good job.
I love evolution. It's the second evolution.
Exactly. Oh, you're a good listener.
I didn't even prepare for this, and it's just coming out of me. So I'm going to break for 1 second because I want to check the comments. I was already reprimanded. Don't. Frank Giuseppe told me not to interrupt. So I'm going to say, hi, Jeff, how are you? LinkedIn user, I can't see who this is. Sometimes that happens. There's a private mode or something, but Hallie would be proud of me for saying I received that. Hi, Jonathan. Good to see you. Scott, these are some people responding to your story, Bri. Let's see. Everybody's saying hello. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for showing up. G loves this. I love that question. What do I desire? Hi, everybody. So I'm doing this like new thing where I'm stopping in the middle and putting some comments, and maybe a little bit anxious because I wanted to get to them, but I was really into your story. So that was helpful.
That's so great.
Brian is amazing. I'm still reeling from his suit story in XXO Masterclass. She's amazing. I love her so much.
Yes.
She's the best
Thank
supporter
you,
and like the warmest human. Hi, Steve. Good to see you. I believe it's dinner time. Have a wonderful. He's the one that calls me my nickname AFL. Annie, don't respond. It fucks up the cadence of the interview. Thank you, Frank. I'm responding now. Is that okay? Hopefully it's good. Really proud of the fact that you've embraced the acceptance of who you are in spite of family. I don't know if he's talking to you or me, but I think he's talking to both of us.
Right, exactly.
So it applies to both of us.
You.
Thank you. Lorenzo said we also deal with imposter syndrome, which is very true, which I suffered with for a long time. And this is really, like I said, I don't know if you felt that way. Did you ever feel that way with imposter syndrome?
You know, it's funny. I get asked that question sometimes, about that on a regular basis. I would say, I don't know if I struggle with imposter syndrome, but I can certainly say I struggled with when I was, with the church and at the end wanting to leave, that I struggled with a sense of being fully Brian. Like, I felt, when you're a priest at times, people really look up to you. There's a responsibility that comes with that. There's a sense of really, being present there. And it was at times a struggle that you felt like you had this shine upon you and you always had to be perfect. And I think that was a sense of, that's why it was such a, when you could leave.
You could breathe. I could breathe just hearing your story. So I can imagine how you felt in it.
Yeah. And
imposter syndrome is definitely affects a lot of us. But I think what you nailed that makes the most sense to me and what I completely relate to so much is being able to be fully Annie. Like I understand that, like not being able to, and having to like pick and choose your boundaries versus being really real and authentic and showing your whole self and where that line is and how to navigate that.
Totally.
I think is difficult, especially going from in your gigantic identity kind of change. But really the best part about your identity shift change was that you really were stepping into really you. So it must have been this unbelievable relief and weight.
It was. And the great part for me, so I landed in the world of philanthropy, which is, huge business in New York City. I was so fortunate that I landed, as a director, my first job, the American Cancer Society, got promoted in 9 months. And I have to say that my background, really helped me in business. And especially, from like using my intuition, it was amazing. Like there would be certain meetings, and like everyone has an attitude and there's all this like jockeying for power, who's going to get the right word. And I'd be like, this isn't the issue. Like, we need to do this. And it really helped me raise millions by just following intuition and that sense of being present, and as a priest, you listen a lot. So it was natural to listen in a business sense and hear what often wasn't spoken. And that really worked to my advantage in many ways.
That's a really powerful lesson for many because people don't listen enough. They listen to respond. And I'm guilty of it. Everybody, I think that most people are guilty of it. But when you just hear your story, it just goes to show you how much when you actually do listen and observe, it's so powerful what you pick up that's often not said, just the nuances. And you were able to sell, basically, which is what you were doing. You were selling. You were able to sell because of your intuition and because of you were one step ahead because you had listened. So it's an interesting and powerful lesson. We have a couple of questions. Brad says, how did you establish boundaries with others as you made this transition? That's a good question.
Yeah, Brad, thank you. That is a great question. So one of the things I did, and I've often, I will share this with people who, is with clients or anyone that are really seeking to make a massive life transition, whether it's a career move or it's a personal situation. I held my cards close, meaning one of the things I did is, especially before I left the priesthood during that year, I really only shared it with a few people that I really could trust. that I knew would be unconditional, that would listen, that might also challenge. Because one of the issues is if you start telling everyone, oh, I'm thinking of leaving and doing this, everyone's gonna have an opinion. And I find what happens is you get anxious, or I do anyway, that people start saying, so what are you gonna do next? Well, I'm not really sure. I'm looking at this. And then like you're like in this twirl, like a tornado that you don't even know how to answer it. So the first thing is I really protected my boundaries, that I kept it just to a few people. And that was a real gift. That was a real gift. Then it was on my terms of how I wanted to share the news with individuals. And I told people that I wanted to tell at the very beginning. And that really helped. That really helped. And, you know, there were a few people that were very negative, you know, to me. And that was just something that, again, like we said earlier, I just put it on them and I just didn't engage. I gave distance, and that was really good. That was really important.
You're in a really, I mean, I think from what you're saying or what I'm taking from it, you were just in a really centered, grounded spot. My next question for you is, you have a very, I knew this from the moment we met, you have a very, besides how gorgeous your skin is, but you have a very calming, sort of chill vibe about you. It's very calming. If I was dealing with you in any type of business, it would be something I would be attracted to. Somebody that, because I'm so, you know, energetic and sort of frenetic at times, that you really bring me back to center. How do you get so centered?
Yeah. So I think, you know, for me, one of the big, so I'm an extrovert too. Like I get so energized. Like I'm the crazy individual. That's why New York fit me so well. I went to networking events like a crazy man. I loved it. I'd walk into a room and I knew how to work it. I got energized from it. And that's why I built a big network, and that's great. But to get centered, to what gave me the ability to do that is I have a meditation practice. And that is really important to me. So every day, to make sure that I spend that time to do breathing, to do some type of meditation, to make sure that I also, like, in addition to that, take time for myself. So I love being with people, but I also love being alone at times, going for a walk, putting my AirPods in, listening to a podcast, sipping my Java, you know, going for a walk or a bike ride. And those really keep you centered. And
those things every day as a practice, right?
Absolutely. Every single day. And I can tell when I get kind of like, you know, we all get that. We're human, right? Like, I'm like, why am I so irritated by the woman in front of me at the checkout?
Right. And you like think to yourself, well, I'm off my routine.
Yeah. Well, it's because I'm either like, I haven't meditated, I haven't taken time for myself, or I'm trying to control so many things like in my work or whatever. And it's always a reminder of like, step away.
That's great self-awareness. Great self-awareness, because a lot of times I'm like, I'm so irritable, I'm going to bite somebody's head off. And then I realize later, you know, like way later. Yeah. Mike says, talk about the retreats.
So retreats. Yeah. So, you know, one of the things I really desire next. So as you're growing your business, I'm in evolutionary stage. Like, I was speaking to someone today about my website that's all needs to be done over, and some other things and programs. So, you know what it's like it's growing and it's there and it's exciting. But my biggest desire that I really desire is I want to do more retreat work, because I just know one of the greatest gifts I had was when I was a young priest, a friend of mine called me up. He was in a different diocese. He said, Brian, there's a weekend retreat that I was supposed to lead for like 30 young adult professionals. And he said, I can't do it. Would you be willing to step in and organize this weekend for like talks, seminars, workshops, everything? And I did that. And I loved it. And it just resonated deeply for me. And I went on a big like wellness retreat about 2 years ago, and it really changed my life, like with organic food and hiking and things. I want to create something to bring people together, professionals that can go on that retreat to do that inner work, because that's where the evolution begins. And oftentimes we're blocked when we get to that place. And that's really one of my biggest desires. And so that's
make that happen. We're going to make that happen. I'm in.
Yeah.
I want to help.
Yeah.
So what kind of what kind of length are you looking at as far as the retreat goes? Like men and women, or just men, or what are you thinking of?
I'm open for both. You know what I mean? Right now, I'm putting it out to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are certain retreats that I would love to do for men, because I think there are certain men, professional men that desire to also go deeper into who they are,
Mm-hmm.
to impact their work. And it doesn't matter if you're running an asset management company or a pharmaceutical company or real estate. That inner work will empower you to make incredible difference. So I would like to have kind of a few different ones. And it's something that I really am excited about.
I'm putting it out to the universe. The universe has been listening to me recently. So I'm putting it out to the universe for you. I'm breathing it out. I'm inhaling and exhaling and all of that good stuff. Brad also wants to know, do you have someone that calls you out that keeps you centered and humble like Annie does for me?
Absolutely. And you need those people in your life. Like, you need those people that keep you centered. And that is absolutely, it's really, really, really important. And I think, for me, like, I have a big network and I have lots of friends, but it's those friends that I've had for like many, many years that have seen me through different phases of evolution of my life, from when I was a priest to different things. Those are the people I really value, you know, and that's a real gift. Yeah, it's important.
It's occasional. I mean, in my experience, it's occasional. I totally know what you mean by that history. Believe me, it's occasional that you meet somebody in your like present day that you just fit with, and there's a soul connection, and you just have it, and it's like the history doesn't even matter. It's like you already have the history. But I know what you mean. There's both. And there's definitely people that have to call you to the carpet when, and tell you straight, like, look, this is what's going on. And let me just tell you what you're really doing here, because you're not seeing it. So totally. That is definitely important. So now that we are at the end of the show, I'm going back to comments, and I'm going to, Michael said he's just stopping by. Brian, you're awesome. Abdul says, you're both looking beautiful with beautiful smiles on your face. Thank you so much. G says, haters gonna hate. So sad, but you're above and beyond it. Absolutely. Talk about the retreats. Was just thinking about his very Zen-like demeanor. You see?
Oh, there you go. And it's, it's funny, my website right now, which doesn't represent everything I'm doing, but when I was speaking to, web developer and having this conversation, I said, listen, it's very important to me that when someone comes onto the website or anything I do, that it's peaceful.
Yes.
And
it's not too busy. It's clean.
Yeah, clean and peaceful. And, one of the things I do when I work with all my, corporate clients and things, every session begins with a breathing exercise and a grounding, because unless we do that, we don't have the space to go forward. So that really makes a difference.
You create the space with them before you start. That's amazing. I love that.
I was so nervous the first time I offered it to this CEO of this big publicly traded company. And, she's a great lady, but, a little tough cookie, you know what I mean? You don't get to that level. And I was like, so we're going to do this breathing exercise. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if this is going to go over.
I know just what you mean.
Like the biggest hit. And it's the biggest feedback saying like, oh my gosh, I love it. It helps me so much. So yeah.
I have to tell you, when we're getting to the end, Bri, but I so relate to that. I make customized meditations as part of one of my packages for what I do for my clients. And at first I was like super embarrassed. Like, what are they going to say about my voice? And then it just flows, it's like, and I actually, believe it or not, have kind of a meditative voice when it comes down to it. So it works out well. Dan says, keep doing what you're doing. Hi, Dan. Great to see you. He's such an amazing supporter. You both look so stunningly beautiful at 7:30 my time. It's incredible. Me, not so much. Hugs to you both. Brian is an anomaly. I think that at his retreats, I'm going to set up some sort of skincare table just because that's sort of what his walking billboard is. But listen to me. You are just amazing. I am so proud, honored. just all of those things, to have you on my show and to be your friend. And I appreciate all your support. And I fully support you in evolution. And I can't wait to watch you grow and for us to grow together.
Thank you. I received that, Annie, and right back at you. You're a beautiful soul. And thanks so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. Anyone who's listening, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message, or send me an email at brian@evolution.com, and let's evolve together. Annie?
Yes. Wait, hold on. We have something fun. I don't know if you've seen it, but I have an outro. Ready? Hold on. Check this out.
Let's be the best version of ourselves. Just keep learning and evolving no matter what. So here I am, bold, strong, fearless. Let's live fearlessly together. This is real and candid. This is how we live. Share this with a friend and subscribe to Living with Annietude. You, me, us. Let's talk. Let's evolve.
Good night, everybody. Peace.